Lecture Sessions 2020, Grade 6. Myself, Natesh Patil. We have already started one lesson, Stone Soup. We have completed some part of the same. And in the last lecture, we have seen what is called as rising action. So today, we are taking the same lecture or the same lesson. Okay, the second part of the lesson, Block 13 Stone Soup. And here today we are going to know more about falling action. So aim of the today's lecture is identify the events that lead to the solution of the problem in a story, and the resources which we require for the same is we need exceed content book, workbook and notebook. Okay, so please keep all these things with you. Keywords, the important words which we are going to see today are solution, key events and falling action. These are the three important words. Beside all these, we are going to learn many more other important words in the text itself. So let's start the lesson. What is the problem in the story? Stone soup. Who do you think will solve the problem and why? So when you are going to answer or you are going to find out the answer for this question, you are going to learn something new. You are going to learn how to take action for a particular problem. Okay, like here you can see the three soldiers are hungry and tired and are asking for food and shelter for a night. The villagers are not willing to share their food or give them shelter. The soldiers will solve the problem because they are the ones who are affected by it. Correct? So here the question is, what is the problem in the story Stone Soup? The three soldiers are hungry and tired and are asking for food and shelter for night. Who do you think will solve the problem? The villagers are not willing to share their food or give them shelter. Means the soldiers are the only person, they are going to solve the same for themselves. Okay, the soldiers will solve the problem because they are the ones who are affected by it. Correct? So today we'll read the rest of the story to identify how the problem is solved in the story. Okay, so just open your textbook and start the lesson. Okay, just open it and just listen it carefully. Okay, just open page number 14, 1 4, and we'll start the remaining part of the lesson and we'll learn what is falling action. Okay, so today we are going to learn it. So the remaining part is like this. The soldier said, first we'll need a large iron pot. The villagers brought them the largest pot they could find. Don't you have anything larger? Asked the soldiers, looking around. They shook their heads. So, first thing the soldier asked, that was a one largest pot they could find. Okay, and they asked for anything larger than that. You can see in the picture there is a pot, okay, which they have kept on a fire. Okay, we'll make do with this one then. They said if you don't have any larger pot than this, then we'll use this only. Now we need to fill it with some water and a fire to heat it, said the other soldier. Other soldier said now we need some fire and water to just fill this pot. Turns to fetch buckets of water to fill the pot. Then they got together and built a fire in the village square and set the pot to boil. And they brought water, they set fire, and they started boiling the water. Next, the three soldiers took out a round stone each from their pockets. The villagers' eyes grew wide as they watched them drop the stones into the pot one by one. They let it boil for some time. Now the story is changing. There is something unusual happening in the story. What? The soldiers took out small round stone from their pockets and they started just putting in the pot, and they kept it like that only. They let it boil for some time. Any soup needs salt and pepper, said one of the soldiers as he stirred the water in the pot. And one of the soldiers said, any soup, it needs salt and pepper. The children in the crowd ran to fetch salt and pepper from their homes. And few children, they went their house to bring salt and pepper. Much better, said the soldier. Stones like these generally make good soup. And they were saying stones like these generally make good soup. If only we had some carrots, it would taste a great deal better. And one of them said, if we can have some carrots, it will taste very, very good. Why, I think I have a carrot or two, said Emma. Emma said, I must be having one or two carrots at home. Dispatching. Dispatching means sending off for a purpose. Dispatching means sending off for a purpose. She sent her daughter to fetch them. Fetch means to bring. She soon came back with her apron full of carrots from the bin beneath the red quilt. Okay, so she went and she brought some carrots. Okay, a good stone soup must also have cabbage. Another said, if you want to taste a good soup, it must have some cabbage as well. As the three of them sliced the carrots into the pot, but there is no point in asking for what you don't have. And one of them was saying, there is no point in asking for what you don't have. I think I could find a cabbage somewhere, said John, and he hurried home. He came back with three cabbages from the cupboard under his bed. So John went and he brought three cabbages. After the mixture had boiled a while, the soldier tasted it. It's almost perfect. One of them said seriously, the stones have not failed us. With just a little bit of meat and few potatoes, this soup would be ideal for a rich man's table. And third soldier was saying, if we'll get some meat and few potatoes, this soup is going to taste very, very good. And it is going to be like a ideal for rich man table. Okay. The villagers looked at each other and remembered the potatoes and meat hanging in their cellars. Okay, we know that cellar means a special room which is made underground for keeping the things as well as to hide the people during the wartime. So some of them they remembered that they have kept potatoes and meat also. They rushed to fetch them a rich man's soup, and all from a few stones. It's like magic, were the words echoing around the village square. Okay, and some of them they were feeling very happy. These soldiers they have made soup by using stones. So it was like a magic for all of them. Oh, sighed the soldier as they stirred in the meat and potatoes. Now, if we just had a little barley and a cup of milk, this soup would be fit for the king himself. And one of them said, now we don't require anything, but if we'll get some barley, it's a food grain, okay, like wheat and all that is barley, and a cup of milk. So, if we add these two things, last two things, this soup would be fit for the king also. It is going to be very, very good, delicious royal soup. Indeed, he asked for exactly such a soup when he last dined with us. And one of them said, last time when we had dined with the king, he had asked for the similar soup. The villagers were impressed that the soldiers had entertained the king, and the villagers were very happy that these soldiers had dined with the king and they had entertained the king. But what is the use of asking for what you don't have, right? The soldiers said, almost all together. And now, at this time also, they said together, what is the use of asking for what you don't have, right? Mary and her husband dashed to get the barley they had hidden in their loft, while Henry and some of the others brought the milk out from their wells. Okay, so Mary and her husband brought some barley, and another Villagians they brought milk. The soldiers stirred the barley and milk into the steaming broth while the villagers continued to stare greedily at the boiling pot. And all the Villagians they were looking at the pot greedily. At last the soup was ready. Everyone must taste this stone soup, the soldier said, but first a table must be set. Soldier said, everyone must taste this stone soup. The square was filled with excited murmurs as the villagers set the great tables and lit the torches. How good the soup smelled! And villagers they brought some of the tables and they lit the torches. It was truly fit for a king. One of the villagers asked, would not such a fine soup also require bread and some cider? Okay, so there was a loud cheer, and everyone brought out their finest cider and bread and sat down to it. They had never had such a feast, not had they ever tasted such soup, and that made with just stones. So all the villagers they were in a party board because one of them was going to bring bread and cider also. Okay, a drink. So they were ready for the party, the soup party. They all ate and drank to their fill and then danced and sang late into the night. They all loved the soup. They danced and sang late into the night. They enjoyed the soup party. Finally, the three soldiers asked, can anyone spare a barn or shed or even a soft pile of hay for us to sleep tonight? So soldiers finally ask they want to take rest. So can anyone give them a barn or a shed or a soft pile of hay means dry grass for them to sleep tonight? Almost almost in unison. Unison means together. Okay. The villagers cried, let three such wise and splendid gentlemen sleep in a barn. Never. They must have the best beds in the village. So the first soldier slept in the priest's house, the second soldier slept in the baker's house, and the third soldier slept in the mayor's house. Okay, the whole village gathered in the square to see them off the next morning. Many thanks for what you have taught us, they told the soldiers. We shall never go hungry now that we know how to make soup from stones. Oh, it's all in knowing how, said the soldiers, and off they went down the road. So, how was the story? It's really a very interesting story. Okay, I hope you have understood the story. Now, since we are going to learn about falling action, let's understand what is this falling action is all about. What did the soldiers do to solve the problem? How did it get resolved? What events lead to the solution of the problem? As we know that to solve the problem, the soldiers started making soup with stones first thing. Okay, the problem was resolved when the villagers got involved in the making of the soup. Okay, involved in the making of the soup and learned how to share it. The lesson of sharing. The events that led to the solution of the problem were first was the soldiers started making soup with stones. The soldiers started making soup with stones. The solution. Okay. The villagers gradually started contributing to the soup with whatever food items they had. We have seen someone brought barley, somebody brought milk, someone brought meat, someone brought potatoes, someone brought something like that. Okay, so next solution was, finally there was a big pot of soup with everyone's contributions which everyone shared. Sharing is really very important. And the villagers offered the soldiers a place to sleep. We know how comfortably they slept. And finally, what happened? The villagers thanked the soldiers for teaching them how to make stone soup. Okay, so it is like the beautiful ending of the story, because soldiers wanted to have something, they solved the problem with their stones. Actually, the stones were for the namesake. They wanted to teach a lesson to the villagers that when we share, we can solve any problem. When we come together and we share the things, we can solve any problem. Okay, and that's why these things solve the problem, hence they are known as a falling action. Hence they are known as a falling action. Correct? Let's find out one more question. Answer. What did the villagers thank the soldiers for? Did the soldiers actually teach them how to make stone soup? What do you think is the theme of the story? Students, what do you think? The villagers thanked the soldiers for. Did the soldiers actually teach them how to make stone soup? Yes or no? Ask yourself. What do you think is the theme of the story? You have to answer this question and you have to send it to me. But I'm telling you my answer. The villagers thanked the soldiers for teaching them how to make stone soup. Okay. The question is, what did the villagers thank the soldiers for? The villagers thanked the soldiers for teaching them how to make stone soup. Did the soldiers actually teach them how to make stone soup? The soldiers had actually taught them how to share and work together to solve problems. Okay, not to make the stone soup. The theme of the story is sharing. The important point of the story is nothing but sharing. Sharing is the important point. Correct? Sharing is the important point. Last thing, which is very, very important, which is homework. Okay, already we have seen what is falling action is. The story slows down in the falling action and we can find the main idea or theme of the story here. Correct? We have understood what is called as falling action. It's beautiful ending of the story or end of the story and important points in that ending. So homework you have to complete S2 from workbook, the activity S2, and from notebook means in notebook you have to write practice question 4 to 8 from the exceed content book. Correct? You have to complete these activities and you have to send it to me. Thank you so much for listening so patiently. Thanks a lot.